Hi, welcome to Aspirations, career advice for your life. It's a brand new series from CYC where we'll be speaking to professionals in our community about their careers and how they got into those set careers. My name is Mina Sleeb. I'm joined by my co-host, Georgina Khalil, and we're excited to be getting into in-depth conversations with real-world professionals about how and why they do what they do every day. Join us. Our first episode is with
Anthony Zaki. Thank you, Anthony, for being here today. You can introduce yourself.
My name is Anthony Zaki, and I am a management consultant for the last 2 years.
Great. And Anthony, can you tell us more? When did you want to be in management consultant?
The first time I heard about it was in my second year of college when a company called Chapuis Halder came to the school and gave a corporate presentation. I didn't really know what it was, so after that presentation, I went ahead and did some research on who the top players were, and I was ready for the second time that they came around.
Awesome. And so what are the qualifications to actually get into management consulting?
So it could come from, there's two ways of getting into it. One would be to build a very specific expertise in something. Some people are industry experts, such as like doctors or banking professionals, etc. And then the other way is to have like a business management degree of some kind. You could either do that through undergrad and doing like a business program or going to a very specific business school, or you could get an MBA program as a grad student. So if you started your career in maybe one topic, then you can get an MBA and probably transfer over.
How many years did you study in your bachelor's?
I did your typical undergrad, just so 4 years, a little over. Yeah.
And did you have to go get a graduate degree after that to get into your specific job right now?
If we're talking specifically for this job, no, I didn't have to do that. Usually you could recruit directly from undergrad. But if you were in that group of people that started somewhere else and you wanted to transition to something like business and finance, then you'd probably consider an MBA.
So Anthony, can you describe for us how your day-to-day looks like?
My days are pretty simple. A lot of my meetings are packed in the morning hours, and usually I have some presentation material that I have to prepare right before. And a lot of the time what I do is based off of Excel and PowerPoint and Word documents, and I will just create my presentation material through there and lead a meeting with that content. It really depends on what kind of project I'm on, because some projects will require a lot more man hours. Like I'll be putting in maybe 60, 70 hours a week just on very specific topics. But for the most part, on the projects that I'm staffed on, it's pretty relaxed. I'm maybe 40, 50-hour work week, and with plenty of breaks in between for me to work on other things.
What's one thing you really love about your job?
The thing I love about my job is very specific to my company. I really enjoy the company of my coworkers. Like all of us are actually friends outside of work. There's a very good culture to just go out and explore different parts of the city. Beyond the social stuff, the work itself has taught me a lot in terms of my own personal development. It's taught me how to be how to better manage my time, how to perfect my deliverables. Like anything that I want to present to people has a very specific aesthetic that I want to make sure is a clean product. And it's taught me how to be able to comfortably speak in front of people.
Yeah, well, you're doing a great job right now. Just a quick follow-up on that. Are the focus of your presentations very like finance heavy? Are you working on, specific, like what specific industries do you specifically focus on?
Yeah, so my company specializes in financial services. Okay. So all of our clients, typically French, but because we recently got bought out, that kind of complicates things. But we focus on banks, hedge funds, private equity funds, any type of financial service product, insurance, etc.
And do you think there's a demand for this job?
There absolutely is, especially when things like crises happen in the global economy. I mean, after COVID-19, consultants were in high demand because there's plenty of transition into tech or like remote work. And that is a management issue at the end of the day. So the management team will, one, need to understand, you know, what are the consequences of whatever global catastrophe is happening? And then two, how do they respond to that issue? And so a management consultant would make some kind of recommendation as to like, okay, here's the scenario, like offer the management team scenarios and and different plans for how they can address whatever problem that they're dealing with. And then there's also the more technical stuff, like transitioning over into remote work. You can be an IT consulting firm, and you're going to need a bunch of business analysts and consultants to help transfer all of the roles and responsibilities that you'll have on a day-to-day basis and bring it all online. And you have the infrastructure available for them to actually do it.
So you're essentially supplementing an organization's, you're filling in those knowledge gaps for them, right?
Yes.
Like the things that they don't know, the things that a lot of time people are siloed, organizations are siloed. They might not know what's going on outside of their specific organization or industry. You as a management consulting are really supplementing that for them.
And you hit it on the nail when you said silo, because one of the things that a lot of the keywords that we say in this industry is like, we're just trying to break silos.
Right.
We want to make sure that all teams are communicating correctly. And that's usually, it's a self-inflicted issue that happens in the business world all the time.
Do you have to be passionate about your job to succeed?
No, absolutely not. Like I hate my job.
Well, this is awkward.
No. It takes a certain kind of person, you know, like if you're not as extroverted, you might find it a bit harder, and having all of your ideas kind of picked apart.
So you mentioned management consulting has a lot of client-facing work. Oftentimes a extrovert might be more adaptable to that type of work than an introvert. Would you say that that's correct?
Yeah, I mean, extroversion definitely helps in these scenarios, because a lot of the times you're going to be presenting to a bunch of C-suite people, and they're going to try to tear apart whatever you have to say, and people might actually be quite hostile to you,
right,
in general. So if you're not comfortable already, you're going to get comfortable.
Right.
You'll learn quite quick on the job how to get to that place. And but the thing is, one of the best things about consulting is that there's a lot of mentoring that happens. Like they'll never throw you in a scenario where you won't be able to handle that situation. You'll never be in there without some sort of senior associate or senior consultant, where someone's kind of walk you through it. And it's well understood that everybody kind of goes through this process when you start off really junior, and then you work your way up into a more seasoned consultant.
Very cool. So there's a lot of training.
Yeah, plenty of training. It's all on the job training.
How can you use your experience or talent in serving God and the church?
Yeah, I mean, the church has administrative needs, and I think one of the best ways a management consultant can help is managing more admin type work or projects or planning. They're very, I want to say in general that management consultants can be very resourceful. And so they'll look for ways to make processes more efficient, make sure that there's less risk in certain things. And it's really helping the church as an organization. If you're drawn to giving lectures and making presentations, I mean, that's of course going to translate over, because what you're doing, you're always constructing an argument and you're always presenting things in consulting. And those same skill sets are definitely applicable to biblical topics. And so I think you can make a killer lecturer.
Very cool. And actually, so I'm sure a lot of people are waiting for us to ask this question, but what's the salary range here? What are we talking about? We all need to pay some bills and enjoy our life. So tell us a little bit about the salary package, if you want to call it that.
Sure. Well, it depends on where you're coming from, but assuming that you're coming right out of undergrad and this is your first job after college, I would expect to be within the 80 to 100 category, depending on the firm that you end up joining. But let's say you're in the top percentile of people and you guys go to an Ivy League school and you end up getting into a much more like higher tiered firm, then you might end up in something called strategy consulting. And in strategy consulting, you'll find yourself in the 140, 160 range.
Right out of college or right out of your program or whatever.
Yeah.
Nice.
But those are extremely competitive to get into, and there's plenty of other consulting firms that bring on, that have plenty of deal flow for you to get your feet wet. So regular management consulting, a little less prestigious, but it will, like, you'll find yourself within 80 to 100 out of college. And then if you're in strategy consulting, which are very special case folks, super competitive, you'll find yourself getting paid similar to what you would get in like investment banking.
And what's the upward bound?
The upper bound, it's kind of funny in business. The upper bounds aren't as defined because there's a lot of, like, if you're staying strictly in management consulting, then you might find yourself as a partner, and then you own stock, and then you own, like, you're sharing revenue with the team. So you're making maybe like 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 a year.
Right.
Because now you're a co-owner of the business, and there's commissions that are related to the work that you do. But to actually, like, let me reel it back in to be more realistic. So someone like me, I'm making roughly around 100,000. I get a 10% bonus, and I have a pretty solid, like, healthcare package. They're matching my 401k
Nice.
contributions. There's so many things like that we do outside of work that I get to expense, like summer programs. I get to
Nice.
take classes for free. I get gym memberships for free. I get to expense my cars, or a lot of my meals get expensed. So, like, they do a lot in terms of, you know, monetary, or
Like supplementing your salary.
yeah. So it's definitely a good thing out of college.
That's awesome. And it seems like there's no limit into where it can go.
Yeah, and if the thing is, in our scenario now, I mean, it makes a lot of sense to jump around. So it's good to stay at the job for like 1 or 2 years, and then try to find yourself like working for a client or working at another consulting firm. Because there's so many headhunters, especially in this industry, that will offer you maybe 30, 40 over what you're currently making. But you're doing that at the cost of your own quality of life. And that's the only reason why I haven't even left yet.
Right.
So
Very cool, man.
Thank you, Anthony, for being here with us today.
Yeah, we really appreciate the time you took. And we want to thank all our viewers for joining us today for another episode of Aspirations. We hope you got insight into management consulting from Anthony Zaki. And we hope you join us for the next episode. Thank you.